Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. They often say that climbing to the pinnacle of glory is difficult, but maintaining that position is an even greater challenge. Today we will take a look at the sorrowful dark side of fame. These are not merely scandals, but real-life stories about mistakes, regrets, and the harshness of the entertainment industry. There are stories that will make you angry, but there are also ones that will break your heart. I really want to hear your point of view. If you agree with the choices in this video, please comment the number 1. If you disagree or have other thoughts, simply leave a 0. I hope you have an enjoyable time, and don't forget to like, share, and leave a sub to support the channel's growth. And now let's explore the story together. Megan Fox was once seen as the perfect embodiment of an it girl, beautiful, bold, and standing out everywhere she appeared. Before 2007, her name was virtually unknown, but just one role in Transformers catapulted Megan into a global phenomenon. She dominated magazine covers, red carpets, and million-dollar endorsement deals. In the blink of an eye, Megan Fox became Hollywood's most sought-after star until one interview changed everything. In 2009, when speaking with Wonderland magazine about working with director Michael Bay, Megan chose candor over diplomacy. She compared him to Napoleon and even Hitler, describing the work environment under his direction as a chaotic nightmare. Although Fox admitted she still liked Bay for his social awkwardness, those harsh remarks caused a major shock. Michael Bay wanted to let it go, but Steven Spielberg, the executive producer, did not. Immediately after that, Megan was fired from Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Some crew members publicly criticized her, calling her ungrateful and difficult to work with. Overnight, Megan's image completely collapsed. The media labeled her a diva, while major studios simultaneously turned their backs on her. For years, Megan Fox gradually faded from Hollywood, taking on smaller roles and spending most of her time focusing on raising her 3 sons. However, by the late 2010s, Megan began a quiet but persistent comeback journey. She candidly shared that gender stereotypes and the disregard for women played a role in her career's downfall. In recent years, Megan has re-emerged through projects like Till Death and Johnny and Clyde, while simultaneously attracting attention for her relationship with Machine Gun Kelly. Now, Megan Fox appears with a demeanor more confident than ever, rebuilding her identity on her own terms. In the 1980s, Dirty Dancing was not just a romantic movie, but became a cultural phenomenon that transcended its time. Jennifer Grey's role as Baby, starring opposite Patrick Swayze, immediately made her an icon. With natural beauty, expressive eyes, and a face full of character, Jennifer quickly became the most sought-after young face in Hollywood, even receiving a Golden Globe nomination. But right at her brightest moment, one decision completely changed the path ahead of her. In the early 1990s, under pressure from family and many in the industry who claimed her distinctive nose was costing her opportunities, Jennifer decided to undergo plastic surgery not just once, but twice. The second procedure changed her face so much that even her friends had trouble recognizing her. Jennifer later referred to it as the nose job from hell, as it caused her to virtually lose her identity to the public and to herself. The consequences came faster than she imagined. Overnight, Jennifer went from being a familiar face in Hollywood to someone casting directors could barely recognize. She was mocked by the press and treated as a cautionary tale of failed cosmetic surgery. At the same time, Jennifer was still carrying the trauma from a severe car accident in 1987 in Ireland, right before Dirty Dancing premiered, which left psychological scars that lasted for many years. Despite her career taking a downturn, Jennifer Grey did not give up. In the 2010s, she returned to the small screen with roles in Red Oaks and Grey's Anatomy, and surprised everyone by winning Dancing with the Stars in 2010. Recently, she released a memoir recounting her own journey and participated in developing the sequel to Dirty Dancing, where she takes on both the lead role and serves as a producer, marking a rebirth full of autonomy. Today, Jennifer Grey has found her own voice again. She no longer lets herself be defined by her nose, but by her resilience, courage, and ability to rise above adversity to continue writing her life story on her own terms. When legendary Alex Trebek passed away in 2020, selecting his successor on Jeopardy became one of the most closely watched decisions in American television. After a series of auditions, Mike Richards, the veteran executive producer, was announced as the new host. This decision aimed to ensure stability for the show after 37 glorious seasons. However, that moment, which seemed like the pinnacle of his career, quickly became a tragic turning point for Richards. Just days after the announcement, Mike Richards' past was suddenly dug up and spread widely. Old podcast segments from The Random Show resurfaced, revealing that he had made vulgar comments, insulted women, and mocked colleagues. Although those remarks were made in a comedic context, the audience and the media considered them too offensive and unsuitable for the image of a host of a famous family show like Jeopardy! Immediately after that, reports regarding past lawsuits when Richards was working at The Price is Right were also made public. Some models had accused him of involvement in inappropriate behavior and wrongful termination. Richards denied all allegations, but the wave of backlash continued to grow. He had to issue an apology admitting his past statements were a mistake and shameful. However, the apology could not reverse the situation. Within less than a week, Sony Pictures announced Richards stepped down as the host of Jeopardy and subsequently fired him from his position as executive producer. Since 2021, Richards has virtually disappeared from the media, living a low-profile life and staying off social media. Some sources indicate he still works as a behind-the-scenes consultant for a few projects, but no official comeback has been recorded. For someone who was granted the opportunity to preserve the legacy of one of America's most cherished television programs, Richards' fall is a heavy lesson. Just one short week blew away his future, showing that sometimes careless words in the past can destroy all present achievements. For many years, Paula Deen was an icon of American Southern cuisine. With a warm, butter-filled, and loving cooking style, she turned her homeland's cuisine into a cultural phenomenon. Her shows on the Food Network best-selling books and the chain of restaurants bearing her name created a multi-million-dollar empire. What made the public love Paula was not just the dishes, but also her warmth, laughter, and approachable personality. But in 2013, everything changed overnight. It all stemmed from a lawsuit filed by a former employee alleging that Paula and her brother fostered a workplace environment rife with harassment, discrimination, and inappropriate behavior. While those allegations caused a public stir, the heaviest blow came from her own testimony. In her deposition, Paula admitted to having used racial slurs in the past and even described an idea for hosting a plantation-style wedding, something that sparked a strong backlash in society. The backlash was swift and unforgiving. The Food Network terminated its contract with Paula sponsors withdrew one by one, and major retailers like Walmart and Target simultaneously pulled related products from their shelves. In just a few weeks, Paula Deen went from being one of the most famous and beloved chefs to a nationally controversial figure. Her downfall was one of the most notable events in the American culinary industry. In the years that followed, Paula tried to rebuild her life and image. She launched her own YouTube channel, continued business with the Paula Deen's family kitchen chain, and occasionally returned to television through smaller projects. Although her fame never returned to its former glory, she still managed to keep a loyal community of supporters. For many, Paula is an example of resilience, but for others, she remains a symbol of unforgettable mistakes. In 1997, Cuba Gooding Jr. stepped onto the Oscar stage amidst wild cheering, holding the golden statue for his role in Jerry Maguire and shouting the line, "Show me the money." That moment seemed to mark the birth of a major star. In the years that followed, he continued to reap success with movies like Men of Honor and Radio, becoming one of Hollywood's most beloved actors. But that glory did not last forever. By 2019, things took a completely different turn when Cuba Gooding Jr. was accused of inappropriate behavior toward a woman at a bar in New York. He was arrested and faced charges of forcible touching. Immediately after that, many other women also spoke up alleging similar experiences. By October, prosecutors charged him with multiple counts related to separate incidents. The image of a once beloved star began to sink deep into controversy and public criticism. The negative events quickly overshadowed his once brilliant career. From someone who brought joy and positive energy to the screen, Gooding now became a name appearing alongside disappointing headlines. In 2022, he reached a plea deal regarding a charge related to forcible touching. Although he avoided jail time, he was required to attend counseling and undergo behavioral monitoring. Some felt that this outcome did not fully reflect their feelings. Since then, Cuba Gooding Jr. has virtually disappeared from Hollywood. He occasionally appears in a few small projects, but they do not generate as much attention as before. His reputation has faded, and his career is essentially frozen. For an actor who once won an Oscar and brought powerful emotions to audiences, this is a fall that no one could have foreseen a bitter turn in life. From the image of Hollywood's golden boy to an outsider caught in scandal, Armie Hammer's downfall happened so fast that it left all of Hollywood stunned. After his success with The Social Network and Call Me by Your Name, Hammer was seen as a star who possessed every element needed to become an A-list actor: handsome looks, a confident demeanor, and emotionally rich acting ability. He was expected to lead many major projects in the future until everything changed completely in 2021. Early that year, a series of private messages allegedly from Hammer circulated online, sparking widespread outrage. Those who released the information stated that he had engaged in inappropriate comments and behavior in his personal relationships. Initially, Armie Hammer denied everything and called these allegations fabrications. But soon after, several other women also came forward sharing negative experiences, claiming they were mentally manipulated and mistreated by him. In just a few weeks, Hammer's career nearly disintegrated. He was dropped from a series of major film projects, his agency terminated his contract, and Hollywood turned its back on him almost immediately. The scandal became so severe that Discovery Plus produced the docuseries House of Hammer, exposing controversial stories surrounding him and his family's already troubled roots. The documentary made Hammer's image even darker in the eyes of the public. By 2022, many sources reported that Hammer had left Hollywood and had to find temporary work in the Cayman Islands to make a living. He maintained silence with the media and virtually disappeared from the entertainment industry. Although he was not criminally convicted, Hammer's career remained frozen due to questions surrounding his personal conduct, making him one of the most notable falls of the decade. James Franco was once regarded as Hollywood's golden boy, a multi-talented artist who could act, direct, write scripts, and even teach. He appeared in numerous blockbusters, was involved in Oscar-nominated projects, and possessed a rare, charming intellectual image. With a serious work ethic and strong creative capabilities, Franco was seen as a new icon of Hollywood until the first cracks appeared in 2014. That year, images of private conversations between Franco and a young fan spread online, sparking major controversy. Although Franco claimed the situation was misunderstood, his image as a perfect star began to waver. However, this was just the beginning. By 2018, right after his Golden Globe win for The Disaster Artist, several women who had attended his acting school came forward with allegations that Franco's training environment involved many instances of inappropriate behavior and unclear boundaries. The media immediately jumped in, and headlines about Franco appeared everywhere. Studios quickly distanced themselves to avoid risk, and the biggest shock was when Seth Rogen, his close friend and longtime collaborator, announced he would pause their collaboration. From a promising artist, Franco became a controversial figure. His career stalled, and he virtually disappeared from major projects for many years. Since then, Franco has focused on teaching and smaller artistic projects. Recently, he has begun to reappear through international roles such as Alina of Cuba. However, Hollywood still remains cautious. Franco is not officially blacklisted, but it is clear his career is in a frozen state. The question of whether he can make a comeback remains open. Lea Michele. Lea Michele was once viewed as a Broadway darling, a shining talent with a powerful voice and rare stage presence. Since entering Hollywood as Rachel Berry in Glee, she became a symbol of diligence and ambition. Many believed Lea had what it took to conquer both the stage and the screen. But her career was not just defined by her talent, but was also tested by stories from behind the scenes where her sweet image began to waver. In 2020, as the Black Lives Matter movement spread, Lea Michele posted a message of support. But instead of receiving praise, this post triggered a series of allegations from her former co-stars. Samantha Ware stated that Lea had made her working experience extremely unpleasant, and many other Glee actors shared similar complaints. Overnight, the image of the hard-working and lovable star collapsed in the eyes of the public. The consequences came quickly. Brands like HelloFresh terminated their partnerships, Hollywood began to keep its distance, and criticism spread widely across social media. The entertainment industry sent a clear message: talent is not a shield for behavior deemed disrespectful to colleagues. Lea Michele publicly apologized and stepped back for a while, acknowledging the need to reflect on herself and her conduct in the workplace. However, she didn't sink completely. In 2022, Lea returned to the Broadway stage as Fanny Brice in Funny Girl. Her performance was warmly received, confirming that Lea's voice and stage energy were still at a high level. Even so, Hollywood remains cautious. Her path back to the big screen has not truly opened up completely, and the light of fame remains dimmer than before. Elizabeth Berkley was once viewed as the beauty with the brightest future of her generation. She was beloved for her role as Jessie Spano in Saved by the Bell, a sweet and intelligent image that made her a familiar face to American teens. Stepping into adulthood, Elizabeth decided to break out with Showgirls, a role demanding boldness and full of challenges, a choice that many believed would place her among the ranks of Hollywood's most daring actresses. But when Showgirls premiered in 1995, the reaction was the complete opposite. The film was savagely panned by critics, mocked by audiences, and Hollywood turned its back. The NC-17 rating and overly bold style made Elizabeth a target of criticism, even though those controversial elements largely stemmed from the script and the director. The bitterest part was that Paul Verhoeven himself later admitted the film failed due to his creative choices, yet his career continued while Elizabeth had to bear the heavy consequences. Although she never regained her former momentum, Elizabeth Berkley became a symbol of injustice and double standards in Hollywood. When men take on daring roles, they are praised as bold and creative. When women do the same, they are viewed as over the top. Elizabeth is a prime example of how this industry rewards and punishes the two sexes unequally. In the years that followed, she quietly rebuilt her career. Elizabeth married artist Greg Lauren, became a mother, and continued acting in small roles and stage projects. She also made an emotional return to the role of Jessie Spano in the Saved by the Bell reboot, which was warmly welcomed by fans. Although Hollywood, once turned its back, time finally brought Elizabeth the respect she deserved. Roseanne Barr was once the undisputed sitcom queen of America, a stand-up comedian with humble roots, who became the voice of the working class through the series Roseanne, one of the most iconic shows of the 1980s and 90s. After years of silence, the Roseanne revival in 2018 was seen as a major victory, high ratings, a warm welcome from audiences, and a chance for Barr to return to her rightful legendary status. But it all collapsed in a matter of seconds. In 2018, Roseanne posted a tweet containing racist content aimed at Valerie Jarrett, a former advisor to President Obama. The backlash was immediate. ABC, the network airing the show, canceled Roseanne within hours without deliberation or delay. The decision was shockingly swift, but it clearly reflected Hollywood's stance in the age of social media. Verbal slip-ups can lead to immediate consequences. Roseanne later blamed prescription medication for causing her to make uncontrolled statements, but the public did not accept it. Sarah Gilbert, a co-star and key figure in the Roseanne revival, spoke out criticizing the tweet as unacceptable. Barr responded that it was this condemnation by Gilbert, not ABC, that actually caused her career to end. However, Hollywood had decisively closed the door, and her name was removed from the cast list. The Connor family continued on in the new spin-off The Connors without Roseanne Barr. Since then, she has operated mainly outside of Hollywood, performing stand-up comedy at conservative-leaning events and launching her own podcast in 2023. Roseanne claims she was blacklisted, yet she remains steadfast in defending her views and right to free speech, even though her television career has nearly ended. Shia LaBeouf was once considered one of Hollywood's rare talents, a young star hailed as the next Leonardo DiCaprio. He possessed fame, charisma, and a string of high-grossing blockbusters like Transformers and Indiana Jones. With boldness in his acting and powerful transformative ability, Shia seemed destined to join the ranks of A-list stars. But behind that talent was a life full of turbulence, where every success was accompanied by uncontrollable inner conflicts. The decline began when Shia repeatedly became entangled in controversial incidents. During one arrest, he directed unrestrained remarks at the police. The video went viral quickly and outraged the public. Overnight, his image went from a standout young actor to a cautionary tale of losing control. Shia subsequently publicly apologized and entered a treatment program, paving the way for a modest but highly acclaimed comeback in Honey Boy and the Peanut Butter Falcon. Just when it seemed the road to recovery had opened in 2020, a lawsuit regarding inappropriate behavior in a personal relationship once again threw Shia into the center of controversy. Many studios immediately kept their distance, and projects previously considered for him, including rumors about Marvel, all fell silent. Hollywood viewed him as a major talent, but too unpredictable, and no studio dared to bet on that instability. Shia's career was quickly frozen, even though there was no criminal ruling against him. In recent years, Shia has sought peace through religion and smaller artistic projects. After starring in the film Padre Pio, he shared that he had converted to Catholicism and focused on inner healing. He speaks frequently about personal responsibility, repentance, and a desire to change. However, Hollywood still views him with caution, acknowledging his talent while remaining wary of the risks he might bring. Today, Shia LaBeouf is a living paradox, too talented to be forgotten, but too unstable to be fully trusted. He remains a blazing flame of Hollywood, but also a flame so combustible that he is forced to learn restraint to avoid burning down his own path. If you agree that Shia LaBeouf is a brilliant talent held back by his own instability, please leave the number 1. If not, leave a 0. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support us. And now let's follow along with what comes next. Cameron Diaz was once one of the most powerful faces in Hollywood, someone who could shake the box office with just a smile. From There's Something About Mary to Charlie's Angels and Shrek, she consistently produced hits and became a cinema icon of the 1990s and 2000s. But what made Cameron different was her choice. No scandals, no pressure of being pushed out. She voluntarily walked away while still at her peak. After her final role in Annie in 2014, she quietly announced that she was ending her acting career. While the press speculated about a decline, Cameron was writing a completely different chapter of her life. She married Benji Madden in 2015, became a mother, and focused on building the wine brand Aveline, a business growing far beyond anyone's imagination. Cameron shared that she had never felt as peaceful as she did after escaping the stressful pace of Hollywood. To her, freedom and personal life were more important than the spotlight. In 2022, Cameron surprised fans by accepting a return in Back in Action, acting alongside Jamie Foxx. However, even this comeback was on her own terms. Cameron made it clear that family remains the #1 priority, and acting is now selective, no longer the focus of her career. She is proof that leaving Hollywood is not failing, but sometimes a way to find oneself. Today, Cameron Diaz is not canceled, nor is she forgotten. On the contrary, she achieved what many stars cannot, leaving this harsh industry gracefully at the right time and with complete autonomy. She chose the life she wanted, rather than the life Hollywood expected of her. Monique was once hailed as one of the most talented actors of her generation. Her role in Precious propelled her to the pinnacle of fame, earning her an Oscar, along with a slew of critical acclaim. But that success opened another chapter full of tension in her career. After the awards ceremony, studios expected Monique to participate in international promotion without pay and unofficial request, but viewed as an unwritten rule of Hollywood. Monique was one of the few who refused to do so. She frankly declared, "If you want my time, pay me." This stance immediately disrupted the established order. From an outstanding artist, Monique was quickly labeled difficult and not a team player. Whispers circulated within the industry that she did not conform to expectations, and projects suddenly vanished one by one. Those who once stood beside her, like Lee Daniels and Oprah Winfrey, began to keep their distance. But Monique did not choose silence. Instead, she spoke out about double standards in Hollywood and the long-standing prejudices that disadvantage artists of color. Although she faced criticism, Monique also received strong support from many who believed she was speaking a truth that few in the industry dared to confront. Her outspokenness sparked controversy, but it also demonstrated courage and a belief in her own worth. In recent years, Monique has gradually made a comeback. After publicly criticizing Netflix for pay disparity regarding artists of color, she reached a settlement and signed a deal for a comedy special. She also starred in the 2023 film The Reading, marking a powerful return. Although she did not choose the easy path, Monique remains steadfast in her identity. In the mid-2000s, Dane Cook was one of America's brightest comedy stars. Sold-out stadiums, a massive fan base, and box-office comedy hits made him a name upon which Hollywood placed enormous expectations. For a short time, it was believed that Cook was the next entertainment goldmine. But that aura quickly faded when a series of film projects failed to achieve the expected success, causing his momentum to gradually stall. Films like Employee of the Month or Good Luck Chuck were heavily panned by critics, with some even demanding refunds out of disappointment. At that time, Cook's career entered a difficult phase. Then the thing every comedian fears most happened: he was accused of stealing jokes from colleagues. Influential figures in the comedy world, including Louis C.K., publicly criticized him. From a comedy phenomenon, Cook gradually became a target of ridicule. He tried to pivot to television and drama, but the projects did not achieve the expected results. Even his sitcom was canceled before it even aired. Hollywood didn't cancel Dane Cook, they just went silent. And that silence was even more cruel than any criticism. However, Dane did not disappear completely. He returned to the path of stand-up comedy, building a loyal fan base through social media and continuing to create in his own way. In 2022, he married Kelsey Taylor after many years together. That same year, Cook self-produced and released the comedy special Above It All, filmed right inside his home. Although he no longer appears in box office films, Cook remains persistent with his passion and has maintained a beloved community of fans, proving that glory may fade, but resilience does not. In the 1980s and 1990s, Randy Quaid was a familiar face in American cinema. He appeared in countless hit movies like National Lampoon's Vacation Independence Day and many other major projects, becoming an actor capable of handling both comedy and drama. With an Oscar nomination and remarkable versatility, Randy was seen as an indispensable figure in Hollywood. But then his career path began to take a troubled turn that no one could have predicted. It all started as just small issues, unpaid hotel bills, bizarre interviews, and a few brushes with the law. But over time, these incidents escalated in severity. Randy and his wife Evie were arrested for illegally occupying the home they once owned. Later, Randy claimed a secret group in the entertainment industry was hunting down stars, including him. The couple fled to Canada to seek asylum, insisting they were in danger, but their application was denied. At the same time, Randy's career in the U.S. almost completely collapsed. Following a major backstage dispute during a play Actors' Equity, the Stage Actors Association issued a lifetime ban against him. This was an extremely rare punishment and became a harsh milestone in the decline of a once brilliant talent. From a respected actor, Randy Quaid became the subject of bizarre headlines, leaving many in disbelief. Today, Randy lives quietly with his wife staying away from Hollywood. He occasionally appears on social media through videos with unpredictable content, leaving the public even more bewildered by his transformation. No one denies Randy Quaid's talent. What has vanished is not his acting ability, but the trust Hollywood once placed in him. And in an industry that relies heavily on reputation, losing trust means losing everything. Tobey Maguire was once an icon for an entire generation of fans. He didn't just play Peter Parker, he became Peter Parker. Kids hung his posters in their rooms while adults were captivated by the hit Spider-Man trilogy. For a long time, Tobey was a member of Marvel royalty before this superhero universe became the massive empire it is today. But when the spotlight faded, the story about Tobey was much more complex. Behind the camera, Tobey was rumored to be quiet and private to the point that producers found him difficult to work with. He wasn't the type of actor to have outbursts or lose his temper, but rather a perfectionist who was tense and extremely cautious. During the peak of Spider-Man, Tobey experienced back issues and requested adjustments to the shooting schedule to avoid compromising his health. But for studios managing projects worth hundreds of millions of dollars, any change was a major issue. There was a time when producers considered replacing him, although that decision never came to fruition. Tobey returned to work after apologizing, but rumors about him being difficult to work with began to spread. Some co-stars later also implied that Tobey was not the easiest person to work with. There were no shocking scandals, but gradually calls from studios began to go silent. Hollywood tends to favor those with strong charisma, who are easy to talk to, and who promote their image well. Tobey Maguire also once admitted that he wasn't a charismatic person or skilled at diplomacy. And in Hollywood, that can be a factor that causes a career to stall. Today, Tobey still occasionally participates in smaller projects or stands behind the camera as a producer. He wasn't canceled, nor was he involved in any scandals. He simply stepped away from the spotlight without making a noise. Will Smith was once regarded as an icon of charisma and success for decades. From his role as the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to blockbusters like Men in Black or Independence Day, he always made audiences laugh, cry, and immerse themselves in every moment. He was the kind of star the public believed nothing could shake. However, that glory was put to the test on a night no one could have foreseen. During the 94th Oscars night, when Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head, Will initially laughed along with the room. But in just a few seconds, he walked up onto the stage and slapped Chris Rock right in front of millions of people watching live. That scene immediately became the center of global attention, replayed constantly and shocking all of Hollywood. Those tense moments changed his image in the blink of an eye. Upon returning to his seat, Will shouted demands for Rock to stop mentioning his wife, turning the solemn atmosphere heavier than ever. Although he tearfully apologized during his Best Actor acceptance speech for King Richard moments later, Will's failure to directly apologize to Rock on the spot caused a public uproar. The Academy later announced that Will was asked to leave the event, but refused, further complicating the story. Within just 1 week, Will Smith announced his resignation from the Academy and was banned from attending all Oscar-related events for 10 years. Although Chris Rock decided not to press charges, the consequences for Will were still immense. Many of his film and television projects were put on hold or canceled, and his name became the target of ridicule on comedy shows. Smith virtually disappeared from the media for a long period to reflect on what had happened. In the years that followed, Will Smith began rebuilding his image by focusing on family spiritual growth and more selective film projects. The film Emancipation, released in 2022, received much praise, showing that he remains an actor capable of conveying powerful emotions. Recently, he revealed information about new plans, even teasing the possibility of making Bad Boys 5, signaling a hopeful comeback journey. For over a decade, Thomas Gibson was a familiar face on American primetime television. With the role of Aaron Hotchner in Criminal Minds, he embodied a calm, steadfast FBI leader who always put family first. Audiences loved his strength, responsibility, and leadership abilities even in the episodes he directed. For 12 seasons, Gibson was widely considered a pillar of the series until an explosive moment swept away everything he had once built. In August 2016, while discussing a script with a writer and producer, the argument became heated, and Gibson got so angry that he kicked the man. The incident spread quickly and shocked Hollywood. Initially, he was only temporarily suspended, but a few weeks later, ABC Studios and CBS officially terminated his contract. Many old reports were also resurfaced, including a 2010 altercation that led to him having to attend anger management therapy. With no opportunity to rectify the mistake, the character Hotchner was written out of Criminal Minds with the explanation that he entered the witness protection program to protect his son. A quiet ending for a once glorious career. Since then, Gibson has virtually retreated from the spotlight and limited his appearances in major media events. That loss left many fans feeling a sense of regret. Even so, Gibson has continued to participate in a few small projects like the 2020 film Shadow Wolves or the independent comedy The Writer's Bible. Outside of acting, he dedicates time to his family, enjoying his hobbies of golf and photography, occasionally sharing peaceful moments on social media. Although there are rumors about Criminal Minds inviting back the old cast, as of now, he still hasn't had the opportunity to return. If you agree that their journey is proof that not everyone leaves the spotlight because of mistakes, please comment the number 1. If you feel his story still has much to ponder, please leave a 0. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support us in continuing to bring you surprising, behind-the-scenes Hollywood stories. And now let's follow along with what comes next.